Okay, so this is going to be a little bit of a kind of a short video, I guess, really about how I manage my film images in Lightroom. So, obviously when you import images into Lightroom from a digital camera or from even from your phone, a lot of metadata is stored in those images. Things like, what camera it was using, which lens was used, what the ISO value was, what the aperture value was, what the shutter speed was. All of this information is super helpful to kind of be able to dig through and quickly find images shot on a certain lens or a certain camera. And obviously with film, you don't have any of that information. When you scan an image, the scanner sometimes adds some metadata, but they don't know anything about the actual camera, the lens it was used. And so there's this really cool little plugin called LensTagger. It's available for Lightroom. And I've been using it now for almost a year, I'd say, or quite a while, certainly since I started taking the film photography relatively seriously. And I thought I'd show you it because I find it to be super helpful. So let's open Lightroom. And let's take a look. So as you can see here, this is a whole bunch of images shot across. Now, of course, you can add tags and file names and all this stuff, and that's really super easy to do. But if you want to really get into it and use actual metadata, if I go here like metadata here, you'll see that I have a whole bunch of different cameras and in fact different lenses that were connected to those images. And this information, you can't just add it into Lightroom yourself. There is the need for a plugin for this, and that's basically what I'm going to show you here. So without further ado, let's get a batch of images. So this is a fresh import. I haven't pulled these in just yet. These were shot on the Agfa Isolet 1 using, I would say it's technically classed as expired, but only by a month. Some Kodak Gold, and scanned and developed by a local company here called Grain Lab. So right now, if I import these images, I'm just going to give them a quick name so I can keep an eye on them. And I'm going to pull these in, or the Agfa Isolet folder. Let's import these. Oh, by the way, I actually did some work on this camera, and if you haven't seen the video, you should check it out. Because it really is cool. The focusing needed to be calibrated, and as you'll see from these pictures, which are around the wrong way, just flip that around real quick. The focusing was really resolved here, so that's great. But that's not what this video is about, is it? So we're looking here, and we can see we've got some data, right? We've got a little bit of information here around the caption, which is just something it automatically imports along with some contact information related to the copyright of the images. And ultimately, the scanner make is the camera, which is not what I need, because they're all going to be like this. So how do I fix that, shall we say? Well, the first thing I do, I'll flip these around just while I can. Oops, that's not right. Okay. Good. So the first thing I want to do here is I want to convert them all to DNG, and the reason for that is, firstly, most if not all of my library is in DNG format. The reason I use DNG is that it stores the metadata in the file itself. It's just a little bit cleaner with making adjustments, and I generally prefer using DNG. There's really no reason not to use it if these images are primarily going to be in Lightroom. So I'm just going to convert these all to DNG and delete the originals. These are just simple JPEG scans, so I'm not expecting to get a ton of data out of this. Press OK. And now these are DNG files. Good. And it flipped them around again. Thanks, Lightroom. Well, actually, they all seem to be around the same way, so I can flip them all. Good. Done. Now what? So we still have no information here, right? It's just Easy Controller, which is the software used to pull these scans in. We have no lens data. We have nothing. We have a date. Obviously, the date is the date of the scan or the date of the import, not the date that it was taken. The only way to really solve that is to have a date printer, or just really take note of everything. But honestly, that's not my big concern. My big concern is what camera was it taken with, and what film was I using, and in some cases, which lens was I using. Again, gets difficult to track things like lenses and shutter speeds and aperture values by the time you've taken a whole bunch of pictures, unless you're writing every one of them down. So let's do this. So all of these pictures were taken on the Agfa eSelect that has an 85mm lens. In fact, it's actually right here. Let's see. This is a great little camera, by the way. It's really quite a little bit of history, and it required a bit of work to get it fixed up, but you'll see it looks pretty good. This is an 85mm lens, and it's yeah, 4.5. So this information is already in here, and let me show you that. So I'm going to go here, I'm going to go to Plugin Extras and select LensTagger. Like I said, LensTagger is a free plugin. It's available from lenstagger.com. You simply add it into Lightroom like you would any plugin. For Windows users, there's a little bit, I think there's a little bit of an extra step around adding the EXIF tool, but I think on Mac OS, I don't remember having to do that. I think that's pretty much in there, so good. In fact, I remember it's being in there for Mac OS. I don't know if that's the same for Windows. Anyway, so what do we have here? There's a bunch of different fields that I can fill in, and these are going to be specifically to the images that I have selected. So in this case, I've selected all of the images. And in this case, that'll be 9 of them. And I'm going to apply this setting across all of them. And there's 2 tabs. There's lens options and analog film options. I'm not too keen on the configuration of the UI, but you know, it's easy enough to work with. And now what I want to do is, let's see, do I have any preset here? Okay, so I've got the Agfa Vario 85. This is the lens. I've already used it before, so the data's already here. But if I press load preset, this is basically what I would be typing in, right, into these fields. And then you can actually, you know, just give this a name and then save the preset for later if you want to. In this case, it's there, so I don't need to do it. I'm going to press load preset, just make sure it's the same, and I'm going to press update command, and you'll see what this does. It changes a bunch of stuff down here, but now I need to set my film. And if I'm not mistaken, this is the first time I've used this. This was some Kodak Gold, little bit expired, but not by much. So it's 200. It was shot at 200. Actually, so I can use this is a template, or I could just enter it manually, right? So I'm going to go in. Now let's do it manually. Where's the Agfa select? There we are. We'll use this one. So I'm going to load this film preset. And again, it's going to fill a bunch of these boxes up, and I'm just going to actually overwrite these. So this doesn't change, right? This is the same. I don't care about the scanner. Don't think that's important here. I don't think we can even sort by that using Lightroom anyway. But what I do want to change is this. So this was Kodak Gold 200 ISO. And now what I want to do is change this. Say Kodak Gold 200, and I'll just call it 120 because it's medium format film. And now I'm going to press Save Film Preset. That doesn't overwrite the other one because I've renamed it. I'm just going to press OK. And I don't know why it needs you to restart the plugin after this, but I can also just press Update Command. And you'll see now it's done a whole bunch of stuff here. So for the sake of following the instructions of the app or the plugin, I'm going to close it. And I'm just going to go in and make sure I got all these images selected again. And I'm going to go to File, Plugin Extras, LensTagger. And yep, we have our lens set. All right, that's cool. I'm just going to press Load Preset again to be sure. It even says here that it was loaded. Now, yeah, so I'm going to go back here, press Load Film Preset, just to make sure it's filled everything in. It has indeed. I'm going to press Update Command. Very good. And now I'm just going to press Run Command. And what it does is it kind of scans through the pictures, resets the orientation for some reason, and basically, you know, adds this data to it. And we'll come to that now. One thing that I learned is that you shouldn't make any adjustments to these pictures before using LensTagger. And part of the reason that I use the DNG format is it kind of helps with preserving any settings if I do change them. But you'll see that it's flipped everything back around. So any adjustments that I did make, including the orientation of the picture, seems to get reset by LensTagger because I think it just rewrites some of the metadata. And some of that data is stored in there, and it's just wiped out for some reason. It's not a big deal, but I don't mind. The benefit that it gives me is this. So now I can go to metadata, and you'll see that I have my Agfa Isolet and my 85 f4.5 here as well. Now what it also does, you know, we added some film information here. It does write some comments. So you'll see on the right hand side here, I know it's not very big, but it does say here ISO 200 Filmmate Kodak. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, if we add a, let's see what, I think we have also ISO speed here. Yes, so we can easily sort by ISO speed too. Like I said, I'm more interested right now, to be honest, at the actual camera model. But yeah, so it adds that information in there. If you were able to have set, you know, shutter speed for each picture individually and every lens aperture value individually, good for you. I honestly am not going to start writing those things down. I don't think it matters too much, because what I'm most interested in is what camera was it taken on, what lens was used, in this case, because it's a fixed lens, very easy to find, and most importantly, what film was used. And that's what I have now. Now, what I also tend to do, because I don't want to have to search for user comments, I sometimes just type the film type in the caption, and that serves another purpose, which is another awesome plugin, which I maybe come up to make another video about at some point, where it kind of writes this data on the image itself. But I'll just put here, you know, Kodak Gold. There we are. And we're done. That is pretty much the only thing you have to do to get this data in here. And there were a whole bunch of other different plugins it claimed to do this, but some of them were, you know, parts of much larger pieces of software for, you know, actual scanning digital negatives. I don't need that. I just need to be able to say, this is the camera, this is the film, this is the da. You get the idea. And that's what it does. And the end result is that I get, you know, information here on the image. So I get the 85mm ISO 200 and the lens information directly here, which I would not have otherwise. So yeah, feeling pretty good about that. And like I said, these images, they came out pretty good in the end. So thank you very much, and I hope this video was helpful, and fingers crossed this gets this plugin a little bit more traction. I don't know how many people use it, but I really like it, and I strongly recommend it. So thank you very much, and have a good one.